criminal justice system, the people are represented by two separate yet equally important groups: the police who investigate crime and the district attorneys who prosecute the offenders. These are their stories.
Hi, I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighbor, Ketchup Man, and welcome back to Ketchup Quotes. We are back with Source and Order, and this is episode, if I'm not mistaken, this is episode 31, where we are now heading into the depths of this case. We're now heading into the part of this case that really does matter, and that is Letecia Stauch's evaluation. Remember, she is alleging that she committed the crime of murdering Gannon Stauch by the reason of insanity. That's her claim. So she does accept murdering him, but she believes that she done it because she was clinically insane at the time, or legally insane, whichever one you want to choose, at the time of the eventual murder. And something that we went through on the last episode has really caught me, because all of this is showing how much Letecia doesn't have any respect for anything that she does. Because on top of the lies, right, that she has told going up to this point, on top of telling the lies about and trying to send the investigators on a wild goose chase, nothing has really changed. And nothing has really changed coming into the clinical psychology bit. Nothing has really changed, because now she is taking a leaf of that book and continuing to tell more and more lies as to what has happened with her psychiatry. So, but the one thing that is disturbing about all of this is that in between all those lies are some layers of truth. And that is where the difficulty lies. And that is where you gotta wonder, which part is she lying about, which part is she telling the truth about? Because the same thing, I would say, happened earlier when we were assessing her lies with our stuff, because there were some truths filtered into that, but out of those truths were just mainly lies. And all of these things, all of this, and to think that she was lying and saying all these lies was all around finding Gannon. That was all this was around. So let's just get into today, because today we have two witnesses that we're gonna be focusing on. Well, actually, technically speaking, one witness that we're gonna focus on, but we're gonna have one background witness to kind of set the tone for what's to come, and that witness is Jackie Grimmett. Jackie Grimmett is the witness that basically is one of the forensic psychologists, and she is the one that basically was conducting the forensic psychologist with Dr. Loandra Torres, who is our MVP, the most valuable party for the show, because she's the one that actually interviewed Letecia Stauch, and she was the one to have that Letecia was basically telling all of her business to, like, all of her mental evaluation, like I don't know how to say it, but she was the one but she got to see Letecia. She got Letecia basically to talk about her past. She got Letecia to basically explain why she believes that she has all of these mental defects. If I'm sweating a lot, it's really hot here in the UK. It's really, really hot. It's one of those heats that is very stuffy. So apologies for that. It is quite hot today. So anyway, without further, let's go into the first bit of testimony, which is basically Grimmett testifying about the defendant engaging in psychosis-related behaviors, saying that she was talking to a vampire. This is where this whole thing went into, it kind of went off the rails. Let's take a listen.
She engaged in some behaviors. I think I mentioned in my report that she was humming to herself. She was putting her head on the wall. Her affect, which is what her expression of emotion, didn't really seem to fit what was happening. She seemed happier than she should have been. And she, at some point, turned around to talk to somebody else and then turned around to tell me what was happening.
What was that all about?
She said that she was talking to a vampire and then resumed conversation with me.
We're going to talk about the vampires later in your testimony. Earlier, you indicated that you had some concerns about some prior psychological testing with regards to your interview with Ms. Stauch. Could you expand on that? What did you mean, and what were these psychological testing that you had concerns with?
So the previous evaluators had administered an MMPI and a PAI. I can say what those are if you need them for the record.
Sure, why don't we talk about that? First, we're hearing about it.
The MMPI is a Minnesota multiphasic personality interview. I think they gave version 2 or 2 revised format, I'm not sure. And the PAI is a personality assessment inventory.
Okay, so that was all I wanted from that, because they're getting technical now. But essentially, I highlighted that because we're now seeing a departure into. I wanted to highlight that because we are now seeing a departure into like this realm, or where things just look, where in Letecia's world, it's now taking shape into, now we're starting to talk about weird things, and none of this weird things such as vampire, right, and all those things. And on top of that, Grimmett also testified that the defendants didn't make any comments of having bipolar or multiple personality disorder until much later in the year. So the reason why I'm highlighting this is because when Grimmett saw her, this was around March 2025, March 2020. So all of this, at least from where I'm looking at it, I want to cast her mind back to when she was speaking with Al, and she was giving Al the old spiel and everything. There was nothing to do, and this was, now it makes sense why the lawyers, why the state attorneys were asking the questions to every witness. Did you see her change personalities? Did you see her do all those things? I thought it was just a normal procedural thing, like just ask the question because that's what Letecia is alleging. So it's a good way to counter that allegation. But now it makes sense because now it's more than just alleging the fact that it's more than what she was alleging. It's actually showing a pattern that it can't be true. It just can't be factual that she had a dissociative personality disorder, because that is what she's claiming, that she changed into multiple personalities when all this was happening, and she didn't have any way of knowing whatsoever what was happening. She also, Grimmett also testified that she named the personalities to her. So she was giving the names of the personalities that she had living in her as she was testifying to, and she was giving it to Grimmett, for the forensic psychologist. Let's take a listen to that part of the testimony.
Mentioned in the jail notes, but did Ms. Stauch tell you what she felt her mental illnesses were?
I don't, well, she mentioned bipolar disorder to me. She did not ever say to me, I have dissociative identity disorder. And she told me briefly about some trauma she'd experienced, but I don't remember her explicitly stating I have PTSD.
Let's talk about the bipolar disorder first. Did you do anything to either diagnose her with that or rule it out, or what'd you do with the bipolar disorder information?
So I noticed from the first competency evaluation, they offered a rule out diagnosis of bipolar disorder, which means that there's not enough information to say yes or no. So I considered that in meeting with her. And bipolar disorder was something she mentioned in the jail record, and it's something she mentioned to me. As part of all competency evaluations, I go through many different symptoms of disorders to see what somebody might be experiencing that they don't know is a mental illness. She said she was bipolar and described being impulsive all her life and being hyper, having mania, as she called it, for like a few minutes to a few hours. And those are not consistent with a bipolar illness.
Needless to say, you didn't diagnose her with bipolar disorder?
Excuse me. So the first evaluators offered a rule out, and in my evaluation, I ruled it out, saying I did not believe she had that.
You mentioned dissociative identity disorder. How did that come up in your conversation with Ms. Stauch?
She mentioned 2 instances whereby she asserted that she had found herself in places that she hadn't planned on being. And she also told me that she had various different personalities, and she named them for me.
Let's talk about the personalities first. What personalities did she name to you that she had?
She named Taylor,
Keisha,
Jasmine, and I believe Jasper.
Taylor, Keisha, Yasmin, and Jasper.
I'm sorry, Taylor, Jasmine, Keisha, and Jasper? Okay.
She really
did she ever
committed
mention
to this
Victoria?
No.
Did she ever mention Harmony?
No.
Did she ever mention Christina?
No.
Little Lucia?
No.
What about Maria Sanchez?
No.
So as she's saying these things,
So I want to keep in mind Maria Sanchez, because that one does feature a lot, and that one and the state went a lot more detail for Maria Sanchez that we're gonna be going through later on. But it's important. The reason why I'm noting this part now is because out of all the evaluation, right, out of all the things that we've listened, there was nothing at all to in all the tapes that we've listened to, all the discussions that that she has had with the FBI, with it doesn't look like someone who was going through or has had some kind of disorder. It doesn't look like that. But that being said, the forensic psychologists, both of them, did diagnose her with borderline personality disorder, and I could see that. I could actually see the borderline personality disorder playing out, because that's what she essentially. That's what we kind of saw when she was discussing with Al, and the mood swings that she was having, how she was going into a cycle of abuse, so to speak. I would possibly say that the reason why she was even making up the stories such as Mr. Brown, I forgot his name already, my bad. I forgot his name. Damn it. The guy that had basically raped her, that goes by the name of Quincy Brown. That's the one. Quincy Brown. Nearly forgot. Quincy Brown. The reason why she has made up that story, and also made up the story so many times to not have the police know exactly what to look for with Gannon. The reason for that is so that she can have attention. So that is something that comes with borderline personality disorder a lot, because the people that suffer from that, they kind of yearn to be in the center of the attention most of the time. So I can kind of see that personality disorder. I don't know how they reached it, but that's what they diagnosed her with.
To you, did you see any signs that she was changing personalities or turning into someone she's not?
No.
Based on what she's telling you, did you consider dissociative identity disorder as a diagnosis?
I considered it.
Tell the jury about that. What did you consider, and what did you do to either diagnose her with it or rule it out, or however you approach that?
Dissociative identity disorder is a very rare disorder. Somewhere between 0 and 1% of people have it. It's a very destructive, disabling disorder. People tend to be very high consumers of mental health services when they have DID. It can be very frightening because people don't know what's happening to them. They feel very strange and they can't explain what that is. So there's a lot of mental distress that goes along with that. And those people typically have very poor functioning, can't hold down jobs, can't hold down relationships, just not very productive. In talking with Ms. Stauch, she did not describe any such dysfunction. Her history didn't support that. And in describing the alters, which is what those different personalities are clinically referred to, she had selected names for them based on things she liked and aspirations she had, which is inconsistent with this disorder where typically the alters present themselves to you. You don't create them and you don't name them kind of whimsically. So I just didn't see any of the impairment that would be expected to go along with the claims that she was making.
This it's insane that she, I can tell that she was probably angry when she was saying all of this, because what would possess anyone to do this outside of evading accountability, right? I'm trying to think, why would Letecia want to do something like this where she is now presenting inconsistent statements around her psychopathy. That's the one. That's how you say it. Psychopathy. She's now presenting inconsistencies there, on top of the inconsistencies that she was presenting earlier with her statements in terms of finding Gannon Stauch. She's now presenting it here, where she's now taking on the role of someone that was having mental disorders. That is something that I find to be quite. That is it's just mind-boggling to say the least, because I cannot imagine how someone could get to that point, right? How someone could, like, I'm trying to think. Of course, she wants to evade accountability, but it is, my mind blows. And this is the one case that I cannot really know what drives someone to get to that point. This is the one case that I haven't felt comfortable covering. It's so uncomfortable covering, and I know I probably don't look at it. I don't look like it every week, but believe me, it's disturbing to actually see that someone is this flippant with facts. It scares me.
If you wouldn't mind pulling that microphone a little closer to you, just to make sure everyone can hear you.
Sorry, the chair is tilted and.
The microphone moves, the chair doesn't.
Okay, is that better?
Everybody else is okay.
So, can you expand on this disorder? What have you seen anyone with this disorder in your career?
I don't believe I've ever seen anyone with DID.
Based on what do you base your opinions on then? Is it the DSM-5 and
Research.
Is this a type of disorder that would be hidden from relatives and family members?
I mean, with the expected dysfunction that I described, I don't know how somebody would be that impacted by disorder and nobody would know something was wrong.
And is it, based on what you've read and your experience, is it common for family members to actually seek help for someone who's having blackouts and not knowing what's happening and forget, things, significant things are happening in their lives, they're not able to function because of this type of stuff?
I would certainly expect that there would be some intervention sought.
See any of that with Ms. Stauch?
I wasn't provided any information to suggest that she had been a high consumer of mental health services or that anybody had concerns along those lines.
And it's really important that she said that, because like she said, the people that suffer from this, it's only like 1% of the population. So it's already a rare disorder. So she, imagine when she was probably looking this up, right, and trying to come up with this disorder. She probably picked, okay, I want to have the rarest disorder because I'm that special to have something wrong with me that not a lot of people have. So she probably thought, that's probably her state of mind. And now she has to put it all together and go out there and kind of show that she has this disorder. And on top of that, it turns out that she has actually had a functioning life. She's got a relationship for crying out loud. Like, I can imagine if you're having this kind of disorder, it would be very difficult to keep your relationship going because of the triggers. Like, something, I would imagine that this personality is coming in can be very intrusive. I have no idea how it is. I'm just going off what Grimmett said. So there has been no sort of impairment whatsoever. No one in her life has picked it up or has ever described the teacher to her to have multiple personalities, but she's now endorsing the fact and saying that she has multiple personalities, which is just insane to me. The next part of here is where the next part that I picked out is where Letecia had basically said that she had picked these personality disorders, the name for these personality disorders, from the vampire movies that she consumed, from specifically Twilight. Let's listen.
Called Justice. She said that there was a button in her cell that she could summon Justice, Jasper, perhaps Patrick, if I remember correctly. She said she had been introduced to vampires when she lived in Alaska previously, and they used to go door to door like Jehovah's Witnesses. And she didn't really offer them in any kind of meaningful way. Like, wasn't explaining anything or trying to use that information necessarily, but she certainly referenced them throughout the interview.
Did she tell you where she got these names for these so-called vampires she's talking about?
She directed me to the movie Twilight.
And did you find out that these names were from the movie Twilight or the book series involved in Twilight?
Yeah, a few of them for sure. I'm not familiar with the series myself, but I Googled. She talked about a vampire council, and the name of the council was taken directly from that series. And then a couple of the names for sure came from there as well.
So the name Yasmin, I haven't seen Twilight, so that's why the names was just flying over my head. But I didn't know, but hearing that they came from that movie, I don't know what these characters stand for. I don't know what they had to do in the movie, but guaranteed that's what she was. Guaranteed she'll be playing it out. What each of those characters probably meant in the movie, she will be playing it out.
And is that something that would be common with someone who has dissociative identity disorder, that they would be able to tell you exactly where the names of other personalities came from and things like that?
Are you drawing a connection between the vampires and DID? Because I got a bit confused there.
No, I'll ask you a different question. What relevance, if any, did that have in your evaluation? The fact that she's talking about vampires that came from a movie?
Well, certainly if somebody's talking about vampires and that appears real to them, that could signify that they're experiencing mental illness. So I looked further to see, I'm looking for consistency again. So it was notable that she said that she'd been interfacing with these vampires since Alaska, but she made no mention of them to the previous evaluators. And she also didn't mention them throughout her jail stay until several months in. I think I lost track of your question. I'm sorry.
Well, what's the significance? It's one thing to say that I talk to vampires and I see vampires. What's the significance of her saying, clarification, well, these vampires came from a movie?
Right. So that's not consistent with a mental illness. It sounded like a fabrication. If people are talking to vampires, I would expect them to have their own unique aspect to them and something unique to the individual that would make sense in a greater scheme of how they see the world. And it just seemed like she was conveying a story essentially from fiction.
And did she bring this up on her own, or did you ask her questions that might trigger that answer?
I didn't ask her any questions about vampires initially.
Okay. And I forget the term you used to describe how she was talking to you, but she likes to talk, for lack of a better way to say it, right?
Yes.
Would she just volunteer information
Like to talk
you
is an
and
understatement.
change subjects as you're talking to her?
She didn't change subjects a whole lot. I didn't get the impression from her that she wasn't following my line of thought. She was telling a coherent story. She just gave far more information than was necessary to answer the question.
Did you perform any psychological testing with Ms. Stauch?
I administered 2 measures to assess for genuine responding for her mental illness symptoms.
And what were those measures?
The MFAST, which is a Miller Forensic Assessment of Symptoms test, and the SIRS-2, which is a structured interview of reported symptoms.
And what were the results of those psychological tests?
So she exceeded the cutoff on the MFAST. It's a screening measure for feigning. And feigning means the intentional exaggeration or production of mental illness symptoms. So she crossed over the threshold, indicating that she might in fact be feigning, but because it's a screening measure and it wasn't 100% sure, I gave another more comprehensive measure. On that measure, there's several scales. It looks at different aspects of feigning. Are you reporting symptoms that you're not manifesting observable behavior of? Are you reporting inconsistent symptoms, rare combinations of symptoms? So she just elevated one scale on that test, suggesting probable feigning, but on the test overall, it was indeterminate.
Okay, so how did these interviews come about? How did they come to exist? The reason I'm asking that question is because the reason why these tests were ordered was because they felt, the state felt like she was going to take her life. Right, that she was going to, so they had to see whether she was competent enough to stand trial and, you know, do all of that. And she was also needed to be cleared for suicide. So that's why, well, my memory it's re-escaping me now, so I'm gonna say that's what I believe was the reason why they had to do these tests and why these forensic psychologists came into play. And that was before she made her pleading for, you know, for dissociative personality disorder. She came in first, and then Dr. Loandra Torres came in second, and that's when she made it official and say, yeah, that she was actually having a dissociative personality disorder, that's what was happening at the time of the murder. So that's when she spoke with her lawyers and made it formal, so they now stepped in. So that's what we're now going to go into and talk about. We're now going to go into Dr. Loandra Torres' testimony, who is our MVP for today. So let's get into the most valuable party for this particular show.
Addressing that with her in terms of whether or not we could have access to Maria to ask her some questions. And as we saw, she explained that it doesn't exactly work that way, but she did say that she could have some sort of audible conversation with Maria, which is what, again, we were trying to ask if that could be possible.
Like I said earlier, pay attention to Maria, because Maria is where the personality is the personality that Letecia says that is the one that kind of wasn't out to hurt Gannon. And that's what I remember from the testimony that she gave, was that this was the personality that wasn't out to hurt Gannon, that she was the one that came out to protect Gannon. So again, I don't think she knows how these personalities work, because not only the Maria testimony came out from the evaluation, also we got to learn as well that she was sexually abused when she was younger, and it was something that was corroborated by other family members, that yeah, she did go through violence when she was younger. And that made me think, could this be the contributing factor in why she's making up, or why she is the way she is? I mean, maybe it could explain the borderline personality disorder diagnosis and maybe a bit of PTSD, but it's not really explaining why she would go ahead and try to get into dissociative personality disorder. Because what we've heard a lot throughout these testimonies is feigning. We have already heard it with Grimmett, and we're gonna hear it with Torres, who is going to testify about this sexual abuse episode that she went through with her stepdad. But definitely, we're gonna hear feigning a lot as we go through her testimony.
What I'd like to do is talk about your forensic interview with the defendant, Ms. Stauch, on this June competency evaluation. Okay. So you meet with her in August of 2020, is that correct?
Yes.
What did she have to tell you about her personal background? Do you recall?
I mean, she said a number of things. In terms of her personal background, she told us how she was born in North Carolina. She described a somewhat disruptive childhood, just as it pertains to some emotional, physical, sexual abuse at the hands of a stepfather. This individual, the stepfather, probably came into her life when she was about 4 years old, but she noted that the sexual abuse maybe started happening late in childhood or early adolescence, maybe between the ages of 9 and 12. She noted that she witnessed domestic abuse. Actually, not 100% sure if she told us that during the competency evaluation or during the sanity evaluation.
And if I could interrupt you just there, in your report, if you have that in front of you, it helps you refresh.
And any time the doctor needs to look at either report, I don't have a problem with this.
There's a lot of information in this case.
There is, yes.
So if you need your report, we can take a look at it. But I do want to address what you talked about, the sexual assault when she was younger by a stepfather. Do you remember that aspect of it?
Yes.
And I'll just refer you to page 2 of 10 of your report. Do you recall her saying that she was approximately 12 years old when that happened?
That is what she told us during the competency evaluation.
Did she tell you something different in the insanity portion of the evaluation?
During the insanity evaluation, she said it started around age 9.
And that's almost 2 years later, you're gonna have to.
Oh, the sanity evaluation was close to 2 years later.
Did she talk to you about her educational background during the competency portion of your evaluation?
Yes.
What did she say about her educational background?
She noted that she completed a bachelor's degree.
Okay, they're going off into something different here, but that's all I wanted from that, because so many questions could be raised from that, especially how much impact that whole ordeal that she went through with her stepdad, how much of that has actually had on her in terms of, carrying out this murder, like in terms of having personality disorders, etc. Me personally, I don't think it would have impact on that level, but I do think I think there is a possibility, but I think it's a lot more to do with if you were to tell me that she had borderline personality disorder from, and it could be I think that's more likely to come from that history or PTSD or something like that. But dissociative personality disorder is just I can't see it. I just can't see it. And that's based on what both these good doctors have testified to. The next part of the testimony is where Torres testified that psychosis was one of the primary reasons where someone can be deemed legally insane. Let's go into that testimony right now, because psychosis is something that I'm quite familiar with a lot. That is something that I have suffered from, and that suffered from, I think, at least the 3 times now that I've been hospitalized from it, and that is something that Letecia Stauch had also claimed to have have had as well, on top of the dissociative personality disorder. So let's take a listen to that testimony.
Does that also apply to insanity? Is psychosis something that you may be looking for in a defendant claiming to be not guilty by reason of insanity?
Yes.
Same reasons or different reasons?
With sanity, I would say that the number of qualifying mental illnesses is even more narrow than issues of competency or incompetency. But frequently, for sanity, psychosis is one of the primary issues that might result in somebody ultimately being opined insane at the time of the crime or found insane at the time of the crime. There are other mental illnesses that could qualify for that, but the specific legal definition of insanity requires a mental disease or defect, and the definition of that is essentially a mental illness that impairs one's perceptions or understanding of reality, which is psychosis.
And of course, that would have to go back to the time of the crime, that they were experiencing some kind of psychosis at the time of the crime, and that's what led them to commit the crime, perhaps? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, a psychosis or some other mental illness that impairs the perceptions and understanding of reality.
Is psychosis common with people who are found to be legally insane?
It is one of the primary reasons that might lead to somebody being found legally insane.
Can you give the jury, I'll say hypothetical because I don't want to infringe on anybody's rights, but a hypothetical of someone who might be insane at the time a crime is committed based on psychosis?
Sure. I think an obvious example might be, let's say, somebody who is diagnosed with schizophrenia. Maybe they started to exhibit signs and symptoms of schizophrenia during their early adulthood. They have a strong background or history documenting their schizophrenia, and then let's say they do murder a family member because they believe, they have a delusion that that individual isn't really their family member, but is some sort of imposter trying to take over the government, and they are therefore trying to save the world by murdering this particular individual.
And so what's the second part of the insanity evaluation that you look at? Because it's much more than just having a severe mental disease or defect, isn't it?
Yes.
What's the second and third component of the insanity evaluation?
So the first one is whether they meet the threshold of a mental disease or defect. And then the definition of insanity here in the state of Colorado, there's two parts. The first one is that mental illness impairs their understanding of right from wrong. The second part is whether that mental illness impairs their capacity to form the specific intent as it's written in the specific crime charged.
Is that also referred to as the specific culpable mental state?
Yes.
It could be intent, could be knowingly, could be recklessly, could be after deliberation, that kind of thing?
Correct.
And so I want to talk about the right from wrong in an insanity case, and I'll use your hypothetical. A family member is murdered due to the belief that they're going to take over the government, and they felt like they had to kill. Is that basically what we're saying?
Yes.
And the mental disease that it's severe enough to cause them to think that. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, the mental disease or defect has to be tied directly to their understanding of what was going on at the time of the crime, potentially their motivation, their behavior, their emotions, and their thought processes at that time.
And so if they did not have the capacity to know right from wrong, they would think it would be right to kill that family.
Right, essentially for a greater good.
So would they do anything to cover up the fact that they killed that family member if they thought it was the right thing to do?
In the sanity evaluations that I and some of my colleagues have conducted, sometimes people don't, and sometimes people do.
Is there also an issue, well, I mean, in your hypothetical, would it be uncommon if someone was truly legally insane to say, what's the problem here? I had to kill this person. Don't you understand that?
I want to say that we do frequently see that where the individuals stick around following the actual murder. They don't run away. They don't try to hide. They don't try to obscure evidence.
And the second aspect of it, forming the culpable mental state or having the capacity to do that, is it really the nature of the killing that kind of dictates their actions, determine whether or not they had the capacity to form that intent?
Yeah, when it comes to the capacity associated with the specific mental state, as evaluators, we take a look at the statutory language associated with each of the crimes to see what is the mental state that we're looking at, and we look at those definitions. with intent, specifically discusses whether they have a conscious objective in mind. Knowingly is more of whether they have an awareness that their actions are going to cause a behavior, or that their actions are going to cause a result. Recklessly is whether they are consciously not paying attention to the fact that their actions could cause a result. So we take a look at those definitions and we think through that cognitively in terms of what were they demonstrating at the time of the offense, even in their own self-report. What are they saying that they were thinking? What are they saying about their own behavior? And we're really looking at whether or not they have the capacity to make judgments, reasons to think things through.
Is the type of weapon that may be used, does that come into consideration when you're making that type of evaluation?
It can be. I would say it's not often a central focus of the evaluation.
Okay, so out of everything that she's talked about there, right, I can relate to that on so many levels, because I think when I went through, the latest one that I went through, which was, because the latest psychosis that I went through, it was like, I actually felt like my family were not my own family. My mom was not my own mom, and I was very paranoid as well. So it's interesting to, based on what she just testified to and what she's going to testify to as well, it's interesting to see that as something had happened in any point through all of this, it is likely that I would have been deemed clinically insane. Now, there was another case that I've covered, and that was the I keep forgetting her name. Damn it, I keep forgetting. The name just slipped my head. But it's another mental health case about a woman that killed her boyfriend, and was basically having sex with a corpse, and essentially killed him, and that was it. I don't know how to describe it, but she just killed him, had sex with a corpse, tried to clean up the scene, and fell asleep halfway. If you know the case I'm talking about, please let me know in the comments, because the name just escaped my mind at this point. But yeah, that was essentially the case, and she was gonna clean up, but she felt tired and fell asleep and went to sleep. So the next day came, and then she come back to reality after, and on top of that, she was consuming a lot of drugs. That is something that I've been through as well, because that is something that triggered my psychosis in the past. It was drugs, but the recent one that I've been through was not triggered by drugs. It was on its own. So I believe, if from what I covered from that Letecia business, that's the case. It just came back to me. Letecia business. From what I covered from that case, right? Letecia business case. If you've been doing a lot of drugs, you're not going to be it's not going to be classed as a mental defect. It's just going to be seen as an impairment because of another substance, because of substance abuse. What I learned from that case is that the impairment has to happen in the absence of intoxication. Otherwise, the intoxication is the reason why the impairment happened, and you self-intoxicated, so therefore you are responsible for that action. So in this case, she wasn't intoxicated. She being Letecia Stauch. Letecia Stauch wasn't intoxicated. So therefore, she has more of a case to that it was a natural impairment. However, how believable is it? So the next part that we're gonna play is the video for the jury of the interview with Letecia, and Letecia is giving her account of these personality disorders and why she believes she has them. Let's go take a listen to to this particular interview. Man, it's hot.
You mentioned that.
I just want to make sure the volume's good, Johnny. We paused it at 1832.
Let me move out a bit.
Did you want to ask the jury if that was sufficient volume?
Does that work? Okay. All right. Sounds like
Started creating it. I wasn't allowed to go to the house and spend the night, or I was scared to let people come to my house and spend the night, because I didn't ever know if he was going to have like an episode. Like when we had like episodes, we have to like run to the car and drive around till he passed out for sleep, and then we would sleep back in the house. So I didn't ever know like if I had friends staying for the weekend. Like I didn't want them to be exposed to that, because people pick on, people pick on, So that around the time I was like 10 or 11, I just started like almost like being able to like take myself out of the situation and let another part of me be the one get molested. And that was when I came with Harmony, and Harmony can like tell you about the beef and stuff. I try not to do it because I've stored it in a place far away, you know what I mean? But so I started let Harmony be the one be molested and not me. Because that way, if my friends ever ask me, like, why come you can't come over, I could create like a perfect picture in my world that you can come over one day, it'll be great, we'll do this, we'll play ball, we'll hang out. I didn't want them to go to that world where they had to know, like, I was getting molested, because my friends would have been like their moms and stuff like that would have been like, you need to tell somebody, you need to do this.
So she's now saying, based on what she just said right there, that when she got molested, right, that she would make that there was a personality for that. I think she just called it Harmony or something like that, and where people would tell her in real life, you need to tell somebody, but the personality will kind of be the buffer or be the soothing point to help her soothe or to help her cope with the whole sexual assault. That's what I'm guessing that she's just testified to.
And I was always scared this is softball too, so
not testified to, but she just basically said in the interview.
I'll let it.
So you created it. And it's a personality, so did you create anyone else?
Remember I told you I lived in the trailer? That was in 1996. That was during the Olympics. The U.S. women's gymnastics team that won a gold medal. And that I played another personality doing that. That's Christina Brigana, and she's friends with like Terry Strub, Dominic Dawes, and a bunch of people that are on the team. And like I had the whole trailer to myself, so she would like be able to like create apparatuses and like do like balance beams off stuff, like because every day my mom would be gone, and so that was just the way I would cope with. And not knowing if my mom was ever going to take us back there, because I knew she would. Every time she said she was never coming back, we would go back. Because that helped me through that year, because I did stay really good in school, you know what I mean? Because my plan was like to get out one day, do really good, which I did end up doing really good in school. I have a doctorate degree, but like if it wasn't for being able to use a different ideas, she could probably like persona or whatever. I wouldn't have been able to live with her.
We have Harmony. Christina was the other one.
That was from when I was little. As I got older, there was more. There's Letecia, and there's Taylor, and there's Maria. She's protector. Like I don't change things because you look at like a lot of my different social medias, they have different names. Different phrase, different one word. You could always tell if you're going to play softball, because like if I was in Letecia, I'm ambidextrous, so I could get left-handed and left-handed, and like sometimes people wouldn't understand when I go to the plate, and they'd be like, hey, you need to hit left-handed, and you need to, like, because there'd be like a run, if like baseball, there's like a run in second and third, they're like, you need to hit left-handed, but if I was in that personality, I couldn't hit left-handed.
We have Eddie got older, there was Letecia. Taylor? Mm-hmm. You said Taylor was the protector?
Yeah, Taylor's my main person. No, Maria's my protector. Taylor's my main personality.
Thank you. Maria.
Mm-hmm.
So Maria is a protector and Taylor is the main personality. Okay.
Victoria is the only personality that I have like empathy in because I explore so much of trauma. If you want me to like be like if a friend's talking to me and they need me to give them advice, I have to switch to Victoria to actually probably be empathetic, like severely.
Taylor's the main personality. Maria's the protector. Victoria is the one who has the most empathy and kindness.
And then Letecia, she's bipolar. She be doing the most. Like you'll notice when I'm on Letecia. Actually, the psychiatrist the other day came to take on this. She was doing the most. She's bipolar sick, and she was up for 4, 5, 6 days at a time. You know, so I think it's Kepler or something like that.
She just basically referred to herself as a personality as well. From what I just heard there, she says Letecia has bipolar, and because of obviously having bipolar, she's bouncing off with Taylor. That's what she said. That's what she said, and it's kind of weird to refer to your main name, if that makes sense, your main name as one of these personalities that would dominate or take over, etc. But she has no bounds. She has no bounds, and I don't know what to say.
Kept from. I was gonna put you back on the left hook, but we eat too much on it. I don't like it.
Who are we talking to right now?
Letecia.
When you say Taylor is the main personality, what do you mean by that?
It's like, okay, so you notice like with Letecia, she's like more like into her like thug life. I guess you can say like rap music, that kind of thing. But Taylor's everything is like Letecia wanted to be because she gets to be like, yeah, kind to everybody, but like successful. She has a whole separate world, you know. She's married to Tyler. They have kids.
I wanna say something I've just noticed. She looks around a lot. She's looking around a lot on this interview. In the last 10 minutes or that we've watched this video, she has looked around, like looking around as if she's seeing things. That's the way that I'm seeing it, and this is something that was absent with Gruesing, absent with Miss Jessica Bethel, who was the lead detective, absent with a lot of the investigators that were interviewing her. She didn't do this, but now she's doing it. It's just something that I noticed, and that I think is a bit weird. It's like she's trying to sell the parts, basically.
No. Taylor is everything Letecia.
See what I mean? She just looks around.
Married to Tyler, have 3 kids, Ariana, Alicia, and Adriana.
Okay, we stopped at 2532. Before we get into what Ms. Stauch had to say here, who is present during this interview?
It was just Ms. Stauch, myself, and Dr. Gray.
And why was there no attorneys in there with you?
We don't typically allow the attorneys to be in sanity evaluations with us.
Why is that?
The primary reason is because we would want to prevent any potential interference by an attorney, whether it would be a prosecutor or a defense attorney or somebody telling the defendant to withhold any information or to elaborate further on any information.
And was that Ms. Stauch that we saw in the video?
Yes.
Is it the same Ms. Stauch that's seated to my left with her head down on a notebook here in between the 2 attorneys?
It is.
May the record reflect identification of the defendant.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
So let's talk about what she's saying. What impact does it have when she says, I created these personalities?
When it comes to dissociative identity disorder, that's not the understanding in terms of what that looks like. It's not about creating or having control over several distinct personalities.
And so what is dissociative identity disorder, and why do you say that's not about it?
Dissociative identity disorder, in short, it's when somebody is experiencing 2 or more personality states, and it's usually accompanied by some sort of amnesia, blackouts, a period of not remembering what you were doing. It's a complex diagnosis. Essentially, the different personality states themselves are not controlled. When an individual has this diagnosis, they might not even initially be aware that they are exhibiting different personality traits, hence the blackouts or the loss of memory for periods of time. And the emergence of these different personality states, we call them alters, but the emergence of them can be very random, not necessarily I'm going to now go into this personality state and now I'm going to go into the second personality state. So the fact that she told us that she created them herself, in terms of our conceptualization, we started to wonder about the possibility that she was exaggerating or feigning this particular diagnosis.
And does this relate back to the competency evaluation when you asked her directly about the way she answered on the psychological testing with regards to, I believe you said 3 different personalities?
That, I would say, was more in retrospect. When we were doing the sanity evaluation, I don't even recall remembering that specific detail from the competency evaluation.
When you went back and reviewed that, that's when you saw that detail?
Yes.
What about the fact that she mentions that one of her personalities or her personas was involved with the gymnastic team, and that she's friends with the gymnastics team? Is that something unusual, perhaps, to have that persona?
Again, for me, it was her report that this was a creation of hers, and that it's associated with something that was happening, per her report, in 1996, the Olympics that year. And if I'm remembering correctly, she noted that that was just another personality that she created at that time.
With people who actually suffer from dissociative identity disorder, would they know the other personas?
Good question.
Sometimes.
Explain.
So it's going to be, I'm going to say, case by case dependent, but the research suggests that the clinical presentation of a dissociative identity disorder, they used to think that there was no memory or awareness of these other personalities that one might be experiencing. But now it's thought to be more porous, meaning that there is some awareness that this might be happening, but it's going to be a case by case thing.
It's got me thinking, right? How, because this case is now being tried a second time because of the whole reversal, having a jury, having I believe it was, I don't want to get this wrong, I believe it was having somebody that was part of the jury work in the prosecutor's office. Someone was working in the prosecutor's office, so that's what caused the reversible error. So I believe because this case is being tried again, I wonder how the new jury is going to take this whole thing, because I'm making notice of the way that she's acting, putting her head down, or all of those things while doing this. Would the jury believe that she's going through different personalities? The reason why I say that is because this jury took 2 days to deliberate over this. I think it was 18 hours or something like that they took to deliberate over this particular case. So I'm wondering if that would be the case the second time around with this new trial that she has. I mean, she is going to stick with the same defense, so I wonder what that's going to be like. Hopefully we're going to get a lot better graphics than this, because I'm not going to lie, this whole interface is kind of weird. But I can't wait to see what the new trial throws up. Whether what part of the facts would change. But I would imagine they will largely be the same. So let's go on to the second interview with Letecia. And this second interview, She got to talk about how she has, she got to talk about she being Letecia, got to talk about how she has created many personalities in order for her to cope with the things that she's been through in her life. So that's why she basically created this personality to cope with the things that she's been through in her life, according to her. I'm gonna skip to that part where she said that because she really does repeat herself a lot in this interview. So I'm gonna like try and make it a lot more targeted. Let's listen to it.
Is one of them. Like being in somewhere warm, being somewhere where I can use those coping skills to help me when I have a flashback. You know, when I wake up from a nightmare. So I tried to talk to him about it, and I said, hey, Colorado and me just don't, you know, like it's causing me to get worse mentally. I was having more of my manic episodes. I was just like having more episodes where I forget and lost of time. And a lot of it was because I didn't have those coping skills. Like you can't play softball here in Colorado. You know what I mean? Not during the months that I'm used to playing back home. And so, you know, all these skills I built over time were taken from me in Colorado. So when I got here officially in August, it was weird because I had to do outside duty work too. For teaching, you know, to have like outside duty stuff like that. I was freezing in September, you know, and I was like, I wanted to do something else, or let me go be a flight attendant where I can do warm sometimes. And I'll set my schedule where I'll be with kids a few days a week, and I'll be a flight attendant a few days a week. Because I knew mentally I needed that outlet because I'd used it all my life. That's when he took offense to it, of like, if you go be a flight attendant, there's nobody going to be here to watch the kids. And I was like, I'll be here on these days, but these days I won't. So that was around September, October of 2019, because I had applied for a flight attendant job, and I was supposed to start it the next year because they were having waste or whatever. That's when it got like that, when he saw that I was actually going to be leaving or be gone part-time. He can't operate without having someone do everything. So that's
Okay. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying this stream and you wanna show support, you can do so by liking the video. It will read us up with the YouTube algorithm, and it will push this video out to, it will push the stream out, I should say, to other people so that they can find the stream a lot easier. So make sure you also subscribe, because we are live every Sunday from 4 p.m. Eastern time. That's 4 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, so let's get back into this, because that is where Letecia Stauch was talking about how she created these personalities to cope with her life. So that was the second interview. The third interview that she sat in is where things it's just escaped my mind. I'm just having one of those days. I'm having one of those days where things are not sticking too tough. But it'll come back to me what she was doing. Let's play the third interview.
that's the thing, okay? So Letecia believes that Sam Hunt are always together. Y'all know who Sam Hunt is? Country singer, right? Okay, so he always like kind of laughs at me about this, because I be telling him Sam Hunt writes these songs about me all the time, you know what I mean? And so we went through, when I'd be in my bipolar episodes, like we had everybody convinced back home that Sam Hunt was Harley's dad, because Hunt's their last name, you know what I mean? And then I don't know, because I be getting like this ego of like, why wouldn't you want to be like that? Like, I still do the same thing now, even at the jail, and I don't even have nothing but an orange suit. You know what I mean? But I still be thinking the most, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I am aware of the discrepancies in my personalities, and being, you know, working with special needs kids throughout the time I have, I know when I recognize something's abnormal to be around somebody. I'll be like that, and then next thing you know, I won't come out of my room. Especially around like holidays and stuff like that. I won't come out of my room. I'll just be sitting in my room the whole time. Like in my marriage, Albert would be like, "Why don't you come in here and watch TV?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm standing here." "Why do you want to stand here?" But then I go into the mode of like, well, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my closet growing up. Why not? You know? And I would just not eat, woe is me, you know, the world's gonna end, I wanna die, and then I'd fluctuate back into it again. So, like, common sense, I knew something, you know, wasn't right. Like, I'm not a stable person. I'm not a person that you're gonna say that, being a professional that I am, and through all this time with schooling, how do you think I did this? Because I didn't teach. You know what I mean? I'd be so excited. I'd be doing this degree and that degree and that degree. How did I get them all? Because of those times. But then there'd be times when I wouldn't be turning in my schoolwork, and I'd have to message the teacher and be like, look, that's right now. You know, like, next week I'll catch up and do 3 weeks worth of work, but just not this week, you know. And so, like, you learn that's just not normal. Like, if you guys, one of y'all came to work with each other like that, and you consistently came like that, you'd be thinking one of two things. Are you on drugs? Or is something really wrong? And I don't do drugs. So, like, the more and the more that happened, you know, like, I became cognizant of it. And then Harley, as she got older, she started noticing. She'd be like, Mom, you'll be this personality, then you'll be this one, and then I don't even know sometimes. And she just learned to, like, you know, like, to deal with it. And then sometimes they can't even cry me out of the room because I won't leave for days. You know, so as it happens more, you.
So as we just heard right there, she just basically brought in her daughter to basically say that she has heard, that she has seen multiple personalities from her. That Harley had basically said, Mom, you have got this personality one day and this personality one day and this and that, to try and make it seem like she's actually going through this, as if that's how it actually works. Oh my God. It's and the way she's making these faces, like she's like, I don't know, that's what she said about me. That's what, like, the way that she's approaching all of this, it seems like it's a joke to her. I'm sorry, it just seems like it's a joke to her, which is just annoying.
So we stopped it at 122.25. She's talking about discrepancies in her personalities and that she's aware of them. Do you recall her saying that?
Yes.
Tell the jury, how does that impact, if it impacts it at all, your diagnosis or lack of diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder?
Well, as noted before, awareness of the different personality states in dissociative identity disorder, it's complicated in that you can be aware of them, and at the same time, you might not be so aware of others. But that being said, when I watch those clips, despite what Ms. Stauch is saying, to me, it sounds like she's trying to explain different mood states as opposed to different personality states. And it sounds to me as though she's trying to explain to us that she can be manic and then depressive or have depression, kind of reflecting a bipolar disorder. But what's particularly marking is that idea that she can anticipate when she's going to come out of a depression. As she noted in the video, she talks about having all this energy to have all of these degrees, and then she might be depressed, not want to come out of her room. She might not do the work associated with teaching that she's supposed to be doing, but she can catch up on it the following week when she comes out of this depressive state. I mean, in bipolar disorder, again, you can't anticipate or plan when you're going to be manic or when you're going to be depressed. Those are not things that one can control.
Yeah, I can't believe that has to be said, because like the way she made it sound, it's infuriating because it may seem like she was so great, right, at managing all of these personality disorders and her mood swings and all those things, that she was able to control all of them, which just, I don't know, it shows that she has a level of narcissism, narcissistic features to her. I believe that was mentioned last week with testing, with Christine Moore that she has narcissistic features. I think it's shining through here because that's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing, that she has those features ready, because it's just shining through that she actually believes that all of these personalities, that she's so great that she has control, or that she has control much better than other people that suffered from these personality disorders. That says a lot. So the next part of the testimony, we're not gonna go into the fourth video interview that was had with her. So we are just gonna go through the video interviews that she had and just focus on those and the relevant follow-up testimonies that may have occurred. So this is the fourth video of our interview with Loandra Torres.
They're all your personality,
Right.
and that's it.
Yeah, and the devil. But there's always a devil. The devil was trying to tell you to do something. Like when I was on the height of January 26, the devil was telling me to jump off the height because it had to be a white family jump off the height. That's the devil. That's like cosmic powers trying to come in your enemy. That's going to be with all of us. You know what I'm saying? The closer you are to God, the devil's going to come get you all the time. You know what I mean? But as far as I don't believe in this whole thing that people say, and no disrespect to y'all's good jobs, but for me, I don't believe in this whole thing where people say, oh, these people are talking to them. These are your cosmic powers in your personality. Like, all my personalities are going to talk to me and be like, oh, just slap that girl. Like, those type of things. But I don't think that these people beyond this whole best thing that they be doing that stuff. Like, none of that. But there's always the devil that has you to do that. You know what I mean? Like running a G-ball in the form of chance for you to run a G-ball. You know what I mean? But I don't believe in that other stuff. So,
So you don't believe in which other stuff?
Right. I be seeing people come in and they be on meds and they be swearing up and down oh, these people were telling them to do this. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? It's only the devil. Like, the devil told me to jump off a hot choice. Different. But they don't be just random people sitting out somewhere telling you this. Like, this ain't how it works. You know what I mean? Yes, does my different personalities tell me to do different things? Yes, but that's still a part of me, just in a separate world. That's not, I don't know. I just feel like they be just a little like that. I believe in, if they might think something wrong, that's the devil, or that's yourself. I mean, you got 5 cells, it's them. It ain't, that's people not with drugs like me, no. People that be on beds and all that. If I be seeing them going there, they be swearing up and down, this crazy stuff is going on. Like, I don't believe in that. I feel like it's the devil. Not, have I? Yes. I've been in forms of psychosis in my life where I've felt it. Or maybe you can call them delusion. But on a regular basis, no. Like, if I'm in a different world, like, if I go to a world like Janelle's world, I see everything Janelle sees. But that's because I've created those worlds. I've been able to be like, I know what Janelle does. Or
oh my gosh, she's so smart.
And I'm doing gymnastic stuff around cell, like, I know that I can make a balance beam, or, I put apparatus out, or whatever. But I know those are things that I leave this place to go to that place, so I put them there. You understand? It's not something that, there's, oh, that looks like the sun is in here. Like, no, it's not like that. I actually created those worlds. I know what goes in there. I put it there. You know what I mean?
The smugness is a smugness for me. She is so smug. For someone that's actually suffer from psychosis, right? You don't create the world. It's not something that you set out to do. I remember, because the latest psychosis that I went through, because the last few psychosis that I had has been as a result of cannabis. So that psychosis, that one, if anything was to have happened, then I would have been pretty much, based on what I've learned from Letecia Business Trial, I would have been in prison rather than in a mental health facility, because that is all this is being done now. Because is trying to decide whether she's going to prison or whether she's going to a mental health facility. So, but however, on this latest psychosis that I had, it was on its own. It literally just happened like this one day. I was streaming the Corey Richards case, and it just completely changed. Like my world in front of me completely. It wasn't what I recognized it to be. I was seeing things that wasn't there. And I haven't done any drugs or done anything like that. So for her to say that she can create her own world, this is what I was talking about earlier in regards to the narcissism. It's really shining through, because you don't create it. It just happens. It just happens. And on top of that, right, I remember when I was in hospital, I think on the second hospitalization, I met a guy that had actually killed somebody. That I think he said he massacred 4 people or something like that. And we talked about it, and he was like, nope, he is in the mental facility for life. That's it. That's basically his prison. He's just there for the rest of his life. And when you look at the hospitals that you're in, it's not like it's better than prison or anything like that. You don't have your life. That's bottom line. So for her to be doing this, she must have realized, or at least thought, it's better to be in the hospital. You get to have your own. You get to play PlayStation, do all these things in the hospital, etc. She must have been thinking these things. Like, you get, like, it's a lot easier to handle. I'm guessing that's what she must be thinking, when that's not necessarily the case. I hope you get what I'm trying to say, because I think I think with all of this, she's just annoying. She's just annoying as hell. I cannot believe how smug she's being at this moment.
Pretty much. Except Maria. Now, I don't believe in that part, because I can't control going to Maria. That, I can switch back and forth, but I cannot switch to Maria without it being triggered. Like, you'd have to put me, like, under some, like, drug-induced setting or something to trigger to get Maria. I can't forcefully switch to her, but everyone else I can, because it's just the way it's going, you know. Like, every time I go to court, with Miss Robinson, the lady out here, she goes to me to court, I'll be like, bye-bye, Miss Robinson, I'm leaving. She's like, don't leave yet. And I just go to a whole other world. Like, sometimes I'll be calling my name. She'll have to, like, snap me out of it, and I'll just be in a whole different thing, doing all the. But I've created that as a way to deal with things in life. It's not something that.
She can control.
But then Maria, though, she's a sniper now, so she can do both.
It's just like I said. It's the smugness. It's the fact that she actually believes that she can control.
Maria does for hire. She got trained from Russia. She does for hire, but she's from Mexico. She got trained for hire. She does $1,500 per minute. She does different things. That includes everything. Like, so you see her come out. She's talking about eliminate this person, that person, which only certain people. It's pedophiles, people that like sexually molest people, people that rape people, like those that need to be eliminated from the planet. If there are people, you know, you can say, well, you're a Christian, you should not say that. But Maria's not Christian, so she don't say that. Those are people that just need to be completely wiped off the face of the planet. So that you're going to sit there and hurt a child and pedophile and molest them and all that, then you need to breathe it.
What I would have gave to have been a fly in a wall in that room when this evaluation was happening, just to sit there and watch the faces of the evaluators. That's all.
324. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yes, there is.
let's start with her conversations about the devil and the devil telling her to do things. Okay, what's your take on that?
The devil telling her to do things. Come on.
Our take on that is ultimately, it seemed like an exaggerated symptom, that one specifically. She talked about auditory hallucinations, hearing personality states, again, in dissociative identity disorder. The research related to clinical presentation says that's possible. Hearing the devil wouldn't be associated with a dissociative identity disorder. Hearing the devil could be associated with the psychosis, but again, given Ms. Stauch's history, there's nothing there to corroborate that she's had any significant psychosis that persists, that one might hear that symptom and say that symptom goes with this particular clinical presentation. What was also striking was, at least as it pertains to issues of psychosis, is that individuals who do have a psychotic disorder specifically are usually hesitant to draw attention to their symptoms. They can be difficult to assess because they might deny symptoms, or they might just withhold information as it pertains to those. So the fact that Ms. Stauch just very openly told us about this hallucination, hearing the devil and hearing the devil at different moments of her life, it's just not a particularly credible symptom in the way that she presented it.
I will say this, I might be able to say that I've got psychosis, or I've had psychosis in the past. That's one thing. But everything she said there is spot on, because I am a very open book. Nothing really bothers me. But the one thing that I find extremely hard to discuss or even talk about is what I saw that day. It's literally what I saw that day when I was watching the Corey Richards case. Because I remember it. It's so vivid in my mind. I remember everything that's happened. But I can't bring myself to talk about it. And I don't know why I can't bring myself to talk about it. It's not something to joke about, but the way that Letecia is joking about it is just going around about it. It's just making it seem like she's better than me. She's better than other people that may be suffering from other illnesses. That's the way that I'm thinking about it. Trashan says, I remember her now. I like her, but I don't know. I don't like how she says dissociative. I don't know. Only you have perks like that. Hey, Fervent, welcome to the stream. Fervent Hosp, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you for joining. Hope you are well and having a good day. And yeah, so if you have not followed this case, it's a great case to take a look at. It's a case where a stepmom, I'm gonna call her like a stepmom of his son, of the stepmom of Ghana. Let me start again. She is basically a stepmom of the boy that she had basically said had gone missing, and she claimed that he had gone missing, and it turned out that he killed him, and dumped his body off in Florida. Every time they were asking her questions, what basically happened to this boy, she kept inventing new stories, and it took them at least 2 months to basically try and find this child. 2 months, all because of the fact that that she didn't want him found, or she didn't want people to suspect it was her. So she told so many stories to kind of blow everyone off the tail. Would love, yeah, same here, Try Channel. Would love a snarky, fervent breakdown on his tongue. Yes, I would. I would love to see how he handles Mr. Brown, Quincy Brown. I would love to see that, and how he handles the phone calls. Let's get back into this.
The way she presented it was in reference to the hike that took place on January 26th. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And so, for the sake of argument, if in fact the devil was communicating with her, did she have ability to say, no, I'm not going to jump off a cliff? In other words, she didn't listen to the devil.
Yeah, that's important.
Why is that important?
When it comes to issues of psychosis, people sometimes hear hallucinations that command them or tell them they should behave in a particular manner. Some individuals with psychosis have difficulty controlling their behavior in light of that, and some people can control their behavior in light of that. It kind of depends how sick they are at the time.
And she mentions again to you and Dr. Gray.
And it's important to note this. It's important to note it really does depend, because you don't actually know. With my psychosis, I can't even bring myself to say some of the things like, because there were moments that I was told to, like, there were some things that I was told to do, and all I was doing was just lying down because I was terrified to do it all. I was just terrified to, like, do whatever the voices were saying to me, that I just lied down on. I just planted myself in my house, basically. That was my response to all of it, because I didn't know how to, because it was just happening so fast. This thing, I don't like this girl. If it's not obvious enough.
Incidentally, Dr. Gray is asking specific questions about psychosis, it sounds like, during this portion of the interview.
Yes.
And she understood those questions and is responding to those questions. Is that fair?
Yes.
She starts to talk about her different worlds. And was that a common theme throughout the interview?
Yes. Generally speaking, whenever she spoke of these other personality states, she frequently talked about how she created the personality states. She created the worlds. She could move from one world to another on her own volition, with the exception of Maria.
Now, how does that fit into a diagnosis of dissociative identity disorder? Do people who suffer from that disorder describe their different personalities as going to different worlds?
I've never assessed somebody with a legitimate dissociative identity disorder to be able to know if that's how they usually describe it or not. What strikes me is that it's convenient that the one personality that is particularly important and relevant to this evaluation is the one that she has no access to.
Talk about that in just a second, but with regards to going to these worlds,
it's the same thing. I just want to point out, it's the exact same thing that she did with Gruesing. It's the exact same thing. The reason why I'm saying it's the exact same thing is because Gruesing wanted her to just tell her what was the last image that she had of Gannon, and the thing that she told Gruesing was she wouldn't tell Gruesing anything. She's just like I can't tell you that. I didn't kill him, and she kept deflecting. The same thing that she is doing now with the main personality that was associated with Gannon is the one that she can't get access to. And it's so weird because at this point you gotta ask, you just got to ask, are you retarded? Like, are you actually? There are so many ways to look at this, right? Because you have to ask the question: how mean spirited is this person, right? That she would have. like I said earlier, like I don't know how to approach this without calling her the B word or without calling her names. But like I said earlier, the diagnosis that she was given about the personality disorder, the borderline personality disorder, is the most accurate diagnosis, because it seems like all of this is just for attention. It really does. It seems like she is endorsing all of these personality disorders, all for attention. That's what it just seems like to me.
You know, for instance, too much information, but when I'm having a problem trying to go to sleep, I go to a beach and I think about sitting on that beach and listening to the ocean. Am I suffering from some kind of dissociative identity disorder because I do that?
I would say that I would need to do a more thorough assessment.
No further questions. Yeah, I did.
You had to ask.
All right,
It
maybe
asked.
I'm off. I don't know. I'm never going to think about that again.
He asked.
Let's talk about Maria, okay? You just said that there's an exception to her different personalities with Maria. How significant is that to your evaluation?
As I said, Maria ultimately ends up being one of the most relevant personalities associated with the evaluation of her sanity at the time of the offense. She talks about all of these other personalities. She explains to us that she is unaware of a couple of her personalities, that she learns of them through the evidence. She seems more aware of a separate set of personalities. And then when it came to Maria, she said that she could not tell us what Maria was thinking at any given time. Just like she noted that she can move from one world to another in these other personality sets, Taylor, Christina. I don't know that I could remember all of the names off of the top of my head. When it came to Maria, she said that she couldn't do that with Maria. But it's also interesting to me that she seems to have an awareness of Maria's existence in terms of her being a trained sniper, where she was trained, the idea that Maria speaks different languages. All of that seems a bit far-fetched to me in terms of this idea of dissociative identity disorder, because dissociative identity disorder, the majority of individuals who experience it as multiple personality states coexisting at the same time within them, which is where the identity confusion comes into play. It's not usually presented so overtly in terms of, I have this separate personality with all of these different qualities than me.
Is it inconsistent to say that she knew this much information about Maria and yet at the same time say she can't control switching over to Maria?
To me, I would think that if she had no access to Maria, I would expect her to have less of an awareness or understanding of that particular personality.
While we're talking about Maria, at some point during the interview with Ms. Stauch, whether it was in March or in June, did you ask to speak to Maria?
We did ask her if we could.
How did she respond to that?
She essentially said that she couldn't just switch into Maria. She noted that, I think she said a little bit in there, that something would have to trigger that particular personality to come out of her. I think, if I'm remembering correctly, during the course of our assessment, she said that we would need to bring out specific evidence or discovery to help her return to that state. Just how she noted that she was aware of these other personalities. We asked about what Maria was thinking at the time of the alleged offense, and that's when Ms. Stauch told us that she could not tell us what Maria was thinking at any point in time.
I'm going to fast forward.
This is, I mean, the fact that you have to. It just sounds like she made up this personality so that she can have whatever she was doing with the investigators. What she can just continue doing that bit, right? I'm picturing her like a comedian just doing a bit, and keep doing the same bit. And it seems like she was like she was just gonna prolong that one bit. Because why would you need to have personalities? Why would you need to have an evidence shown to her to trigger this personality? The reason why is because she said, I think she said, I'm not sure if we've reached this point here yet, but maybe I'm getting ahead. But she said that this personality, Maria, that specific personality, is the one to have gotten hold of Gannon. It's the one that she made to protect Gannon. That personality would never hurt Gannon, or something along those lines. So now I have to think of, well, is she trying to communicate that she was Maria when she committed this whole murder? That's what I'm guessing, because she's a sniper. She's a sniper, and how did Gannon die? Getting shot. Getting shot and stabbed numerous times. I just poor kid, like, damn. And on top of that, you have this lying sack of ass who can't even lift her head up from her seat. It's simply I can't deal with this. I actually can't. It's actually insane. It's actually insane when you think about it, that she is saying, in regards to Maria. Anyway, let's move on to the next bit of testimony, and this is where, the next bit of testimony that we're gonna get into is a fifth video of the interview with the defendant, where, let's take a listen.
If you look at that report where the drive here, that lady was trying to get me with her gun, and like you can see on the cameras. Why I kept on telling her, I knew exactly what she was over there doing and thinking, and I kept like, I know what you're doing over here. I know you're out to get me, you're trying to shoot me with your gun. Like, I knew all that, you know what I mean? So like that was a time, an example where it was very heightened, where I was like all over the place thinking they were out to get me with this stuff, and that I was trying to read what she had going on, and she was trying to shoot me with her gun. I don't know if you saw that report, but you can see it in there where I keep looking at the cameras, holding on this. That was an example of a time that it was like very, very heightened.
And those perceptions that you get are always accurate.
From like the premonition?
No, when you get really paranoid and it seems like you know what other people are.
Yeah, because when I think about it, in that instance with that Deputy James, it was accurate. She did have a gun on me. So what else she been doing with a gun? Pointing at me. She was trying to kill me with it. So like that was a perfect example why it was accurate, you know. And of course Maria came. That whole incident happened when Maria came, and she's just gonna regulate on, you know what I mean? So
oh my god.
But it's usually always accurate. Like,
I shouldn't laugh.
The whole incident with the guy trying to tell me I hit somebody. I didn't really hit somebody, but these people were out to get me the whole time, and I kept telling them, like, look, there ain't no way I hit somebody. Y'all were setting me up, like, who hit somebody and there's no mark? So I knew they were doing that because his last name was Sanchez and Maria's last name was Sanchez. So how did that happen? You know what I mean?
Okay, we stopped it at 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 10 seconds. Was it clear to you when you're talking to her that she's saying Maria was the one that kind of took over and assaulted the deputy on the way back from South Carolina?
Yes.
Looking at the interview with Dr. Lewis, where it's alleged that Ms. Stauch turned into this persona named Maria Sanchez, talking in a Spanish accent, did you review the video of the assault coming back from South Carolina?
Oh, yeah, the assault.
I'd like to see that.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that this is the assault. The assault. I completely forgot the assault. Oh gosh. So what's happening right now is Letecia had basically.
Let's try People's Exhibit 338.
Letecia had basically wanted to show that basically basically demonstrating that Maria was taking over, and she was assaulting one of the police officers that was with her. That was with.
I didn't rehearse with them either.
That was, let me try and fast forward it so we can see. Yeah, I think it's here. It's here.
For the record, we're playing 338.
So what's basically happening now is, she was being transported to the facility, where she was getting interviewed, and before she was getting interviewed, and basically, during that transportation, she went off into she just hit one of the officers and was not complying with their instructions. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Oh my God.
She keeps threatening me. Stop. Well, she keeps threatening me.
Stop it.
She keeps on threatening me. I have stopped it. She keeps on.
Oh, she got out of the restraints.
She keeps on. Threatening me.
Put your arm down.
I will for you. She keeps
Put your arm down. Put your arm
But she
down.
keeps threatening me the whole time.
Tisha, give me your arm.
I will to you, but not
Tisha,
to her.
Tisha, give me your
I will
arm.
to you, but not to her.
Cooperate with me. Cooperate with
Why did
me.
I will with you, but not with her.
Cooperate with me.
I
will with you,
cannot
not with her.
believe this. The reason why I'm so I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh at this because this is sad.
Give me your arm now. I said I would with you. I said I would with you. I said I would with you.
The reason.
Stop resisting.
I'm resisting. I said I would with her. Well, the other one.
Go ahead. I got her on.
I have the phone.
Tisha, stop
I'm not
resisting. Yes, you are.
Okay, we stopped it at a minute 56.
So, the reason why I was laughing, and I probably shouldn't have laughed, is because of the whole theatrics. The whole theatrics. I don't know how to say the word. Theatrics. The whole theater of it all. The fact that she went like as if she was actually being possessed. Like, come on. It does not. I could tell. I know it doesn't work like this. But I mean, maybe. I don't know. To be quite fair, I don't know anything about dissociative personality disorder. I don't know anything about that. But I just have a feeling it wouldn't go down like that. I just have a feeling.
I heard several voices on that.
Yes.
Did you ever hear a voice that was consistent with the voice that you saw in Dr. Lewis's interview of Ms. Stauch, where she was talking in a Spanish accent?
I did not.
Did you recognize Ms. Stauch's voice in this video clip?
I did.
And is it the same Ms. Stauch that you evaluated and the same person seated in this courtroom that you did your insanity evaluation?
Yes.
Is that consistent with or inconsistent with what she's telling you that she turned into Maria when she assaulted this deputy, the video we just watched?
It's not consistent with the Maria that I saw in Dr. Lewis's videos.
But is it consistent with what she's telling you, that she switched worlds or switched personalities and Maria went into protection mode and assaulted the deputy?
I would expect that if she had gone into this personality of Maria, that it would be presenting as the Maria that I saw in Dr. Lewis's videos, meaning with a Hispanic accent.
We're now going to go back to your interview, and we're going to stay with People's Exhibit 724, and we're going to go to 2 hours and 21 seconds. And this is about a 10-minute clip, so if you want to sit down, but just to kind of give you a preview of what we're going to be talking about. Again, it has to deal with dissociative identity disorder, her switching personalities, and then actually talking about events close in time to the crime. Okay? It's up to you if you want to sit there or back here, okay?
Did you say this was just 10 minutes?
This is about 10 minutes, right?
All right, so this one is, yeah, let's go ahead with this one.
2 hours and 21 seconds. We're going to hit play.
Let me fast forward a little bit.
Yes, I do have a couple of questions. This kind of relates back to a few things. So you mentioned flashback. We'll describe more what that feels like for you. Yeah.
She just, what was that shake? What is this? What is this? She never done this with Gruesing, with any of the police interviews. She has never like this.
It's in trouble, danger, threatened, kind of way. I'll always have a flashback of like me trying to protect my mom. Like there was one time when my mom's boyfriend Greg was like beating my mom and he threw her through the glass window at the front, and I ran around the house, got the bat, hit him in the legs to knock him down. So like I'll have flashbacks of those times with those things happening. You know what I mean? I try to like, I did some therapy before. We try to like reframe it. You know what I mean? I did that before through the school district. It just doesn't work for me. I would still have that flashback, and then that's why sometimes I switch personalities and go in the protective mode, because I'll have that flashback and I'll think I'm back in that same time. You know what I mean? Like for example, you know, I text my boss and tell her that my stepdad died. I had a flashback that morning when Lena came into my room. I thought, I guess it was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I texted my boss and told her that my stepdad had died. That was because I was having flashbacks the whole time and nightmares of the day when my stepdad died, because I weren't really sure if he was dead or not. You know what I mean? And it happens a lot, because like, I can see somebody walking on the street and I'll be like, that looks like him. One of the triggers is red and black. Okay, and I know you have red and black on. So I can even watch like NC State when I'm in basketball. You go to the NC State game, red and black. You know what I mean? Because it's surrounded. It's not just one, it's surrounded. He would come in with red shirt on and black. And the way he's saying this is like his whole thing of like his mom. So his mom was killed supposedly by his stepdad. So he always wears red and black to like commemorate. You know. So like I can see somebody walking on the road with red and black on it, and I'll have a flashback of stepdad coming in the room, turning the lights on. He'll go, my name is Terry, and he has this whole like dialogue thing that he does before he heightens up to the huge. You know what I mean? And so that happened. That's why when I was driving one day on the back roads, I was thinking there was somebody walking, and I was thinking it was him. And so like it gets scary, because like what if one day I was to like try to run that person over, like thinking that was really him. You know what I mean? So those are the kind of flashbacks I have, and most of them, I'd say 90% of them have something to do with him. Me and Kyle call him Jackass James, just because we like don't see it personally so much. Jackass James, because that's what you know. Others that I have flashbacks to Twin Fire, because the house burnt down when I was younger. With my mom blamed me, and I called 911, and I got in trouble for calling 911 because my mom was saying that the way they read the report, she wasn't going to be able to like get the house fixed on her insurance, and like same thing. Got in trouble for calling 911. Said that here. What happened was I was trying to cook for my siblings, and I had a pot, and curtains used to not be in our house, whatever. And I had to run go get my little brother, and I was trying to find my sister. And when I came back in, it caught flame on the thing, and it burnt my mom's whole kitchen river. So like anytime there's something hot, I can smell it. Like I can smell the fire that's out there. Like sometimes, like if, for example, it can be some small thing. People could be doing like a wood fire in the woods, like burning trash or like a bonfire. I don't do bonfire. Because I would be the bonfire and I'll just be like, no, like I now have a flashback of the time that the fire happened in the house. The reason we moved from North Carolina was to show and show our house and set it on fire because we lived in the neighborhood. So we're going to have flashbacks of my mom calling me, telling me that everything we had worked for was burned in the house. So those are like just some examples of what happens. I mean, I can almost like feel like it's burning, or I can almost feel like I'm there. I smell it, I see it, you know what I mean? And then I'll remember everything. And it's almost like, it's different than when I switch personalities. When I switch personalities, I go to those folders. When that happens and I have a flashback in that same place that it happened, like and it's so much for my stepdad. Like I couldn't never, I tried to find psychotherapy and the whole brain in it. I don't expect me to reframe getting molested by a person that your mom married and trusted you? How do you want me to reframe it? That's what I always tell him, like, that he didn't do it, because he did. That just doesn't work. And so, like, I tried doing all that, but I couldn't. Anyone that looked like him, anyone that freaking, like, walked like him, like, throughout my whole entire life. And especially with the whole, like, whenever you come in with the whole, like, James Larry, if their person's name was James, I thought it was cringe. Like, you know what I mean? When I read this, I'm sad, God forgive me. When I read the scripture, the book of James, I can't even go to the scripture in the book of James without having those stuff. And that's bad. Reading my Bible. Can't even read that section because that's his name. Because I be thinking, like, as good as James was, because James was Jesus' brother. How is this even name? Like, there's something wrong here. And my brother, she gave my brother Dakota James, his real name, and I don't that. So those like times that things is like repeating and like when they did my brother's graduation, we walked across the stage and they were like, "You guys are high school," and I was there, and they were like, "Dakota James Lowry." I literally was like, freaking, don't tell him. He is not like his dad. You know.
You're saying that these flashbacks are more than just a memory.
Oh God, yeah. I'm telling you, almost like you're right there. See, because all your senses are activated. You know what I mean?
I also recognize that Red and Black is trigger for you. That you're feeling the flashbacks today when you
So when you first said something to me, I didn't say anything to you, but that was the reason I did. Do you remember when you first were like, "How are you doing?" And I didn't say anything to you? I told myself, like, you know what I mean? Like, she has nothing to do with Jack has changed. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, don't think I tried to disrespect you in any way when you first said them to me, but I go into like that defense mode on it.
Oh my God, do you see this? Like, what's just happened right now is that she just basically said that one of her personalities took over when she had basically said hi to her and she didn't say anything back. That was one of her personalities taking over. Remember when the doctor said that most of these things that happen, most people don't have a memory of what just happened, but she has a clear memory. A clear crystal is so annoying to think about. She has a clear memory of this. And the thing about psychosis is, especially because dissociative disorder comes with it's kind of a package deal. I'm putting it like that, but here we are. But it's kind of like that. So I can, like, especially even with my psychosis, right? I can't remember most things that happen. Like, well, some of the things that happen, but I can remember traumatic. It's really hot here, so my camera has overheated. Okay, I need to wrap this up. My camera has overheated. Apologies for the technical guys. Okay, so we're back. It's a bit slower because of the whole heat. But yeah, that's basically what's happened. So we're just gonna finish off now with the last few testimony that was given by Miss Torres, and then we're gonna close off on this particular testimony. So let's listen to it. And this testimony is going into where Letecia was confusing. Well, it's just that where Torres identified that it was confusing to her how this society seemed to know what her history is, Letecia's history, which was because that overlap doesn't really happen. Oh, come on. Okay.
Of dissociative identity disorder. These different personality states have their own details associated with them. To me, in terms of Ms. Stauch's self-report, her presentation, it has always been confusing to me how all of the personalities seem to have an awareness of Ms. Stauch's own history. I'm not necessarily a an expert in dissociative identity disorder. There are some people who devote a large chunk of their work to that practice. I am an expert in forensics. I'm an expert in clinical diagnosis. I have some awareness of these diagnoses. With that being said, in terms of my understanding of the conceptualization of that disorder, there just seems to be too much of an overlap in terms of what Ms. Stauch says about these other personalities, the way in which she can control going from one to another, the ways in which they overlap with each other.
Did you or Dr. Gray ever consider the fact that she could just be making this all up?
Yes.
That she could just be winging it as she's talking to you, and she must have slipped about talking about protecting Gannon in this segment?
I don't know that we ever thought of it specifically like that. I mean, we did consider the possibility of feigning or exaggerating, simply given the fact that she exaggerates. She seems to exaggerate in her self-report to us throughout these interviews, the psychological testing, the fact that her self-report during the sanity evaluations is at times consistent and at times significantly inconsistent with her self-report at the time of the competency evaluations, as well as the collateral data that we had available to us. She tells us that these personality states have been present since her adolescence, and she specifically mentions that Maria shows up. I don't know exactly when, but she mentioned to us that Maria was around when she was 16. You would just think that somebody would have seen something, maybe not a mental health professional, given that her mental health treatment was somewhat spotty, but even the individuals that we spoke to, nobody had heard of this or knew anything about it.
Talk to Al. Did you talk to Al Stauch about these things?
We asked him, I don't remember the specific question, but we did. We asked him if he knew of her behaving erratically, going into different personality states. We asked him specifically if he was aware of somebody called Maria Sanchez. And overall, no, he didn't endorse seeing or knowing anything about this.
And
Would
Harley
Hunt, her daughter, probably be the best person to know about those things because she's been with her whole life?
We had hoped to ask Harley that question, but as I said, we weren't able to speak to her ultimately, so we didn't get that opportunity.
Okay, so I just wanted to end it there because it's a perfect send off because first and foremost, especially with Letecia, right? With all of this feigning and like I said, like why couldn't she? Why, like it just is so obvious. It's so obvious that she is faking this. It's so obvious, and she's not even doing a good job at faking it either. It's over the top theater basically, and yeah, and I'm exhausted just by the last few seconds listening to her, try to craft all of this, put all this together. It was winging it, as Dave Young put it. It really was winging it. There was no. It's just the one thing that bothers me the most about this case is just the thought that all of this is all because she knows what she did to that boy was inhumane. She knows it was not normal. And because she couldn't face that reality, she first began by making up so many stories to tell the investigators, etc. And then on top of that, she now pivots to do the same thing with the mental health professionals, because she couldn't just say, I did it, I am guilty of this crime, and I am sorry for what I did, I deserve to be locked away. Like, she couldn't just bring herself to do that. So the next best thing that she can bring herself to do is to make up her personality disorder as so an innocent cop that's just doing his job. and yeah, and like that's the best that she does. That's the best that she can do. She can only commit to this whole ordeal. I look, I have no words. Because when I first started watching this case, I didn't think that someone could go to this level, right? And they could operate on and really try to put on such an act. But here we are. Every day you encounter something new. I did not expect it. Now, after this case, I feel like I can actually cover a lot more cases with confidence, because I'm gonna look for defendants that can top someone like this, and I don't think there's anyone out there that exists to this level. I would actually like, if you guys know of any defendants that actually is worse than Letecia Stauch, please let me know. I would love to cover that defendant. I would love to cover that case. If there's anyone out there, I would love to cover that case, because from what I've seen, and with the amount of time remaining to cover this particular case, I think it's only like 3 episodes left of this case. I have no words to, like, I did not think, like, I thought the mental health field was the one that was last sacred, so no one is gonna like try to make a mockery out of it. Taylor's your business, by the way. Taylor's your business. The person that killed her boyfriend, dismembered him, and have sex with his corpse, and was cleaning up from this scene of the crime, and couldn't be bothered to continue cleaning it up. Even her, she didn't go this route to claim that she was like going through multiple personalities, etc. She was just claiming that the drugs that she was taking was enough to impair her. But even with her, she didn't go this far. She is actually worse. I thought Taylor's Business was the worst one before this trial, but she's actually the worst. Anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone, for tuning in to this stream. Head over to ketchupcourt.info to check out all the trial reports that we've done for this particular case. Also, don't forget to sign up for the mailing list so that you can see so that you can receive our newsletter that we do of these trials that we cover weekly on Source and Order. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for everyone for tuning in. Take good care of yourself. Have a great evening, and yeah, I'll see you next week, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern time, for Source and Order. All right, I'll leave it there. Bye for now. Stay saucy. Thank you everyone for tuning in for another Catch Up Court live stream. Make sure that you smash that like button as well as hitting that subscribe button to be notified of our future live streams. We go live regularly, bringing you case updates and recaps of ongoing trials, so make sure you hurry back on the next live stream. We also have more content on the channel that you can binge on. Check out the playlist that we have showcasing all of these contents. Without further, I go by the name of Heinz, your friendly neighborhood ketchup man, and I'll see you back in court.